Good afternoon. Sunday afternoon instead of Sunday evening, and as you can see, it kind of looks a little bleak and cold outside. For those of you who aren't anywhere near Connecticut, it decided to become winter very quickly, and we're sitting here in the comfort of the house this afternoon because it's about 23 degrees outside, and even though the trees aren't moving too much in my background, it's quite windy out there, and so I'm better off being right here where I am. So what I thought was something I wanted to do today is after reading all the papers that you folks so graciously wrote for me when we talked about internal and external customer, is I thought it was only fair that maybe I give some of my views about that whole concept, that whole idea of the internal and external customer. And in one of the papers, one of your classmates made a really great observation, and she wrote in there that the internal customer, that person that many of you defined quite correctly as people within an organization who are dependent or whom other members of the organization are dependent upon to get things done, to be able to provide the ultimate product or service to an external customer, that too often organizations tend to look at the internal customer as kind of expendable, replaceable. You know, I can always go out and find more employees. And particularly in recent years when employment and the economy hasn't been that great and we haven't had that wonderful employment picture, that has tended to be, I think, for a lot of people, somewhat indicative of their experience. That's what they feel, and that's how they feel about it. And in many of the grades, I challenged a lot of you folks to come back and say, okay, one, do you really think that's true? And do we often in our businesses treat the external customer, the company, the individual, whoever that is, the government, or whatever, who comes in and actually pays us cash for our products and services, pays us money, keeps our doors open, keeps our profits building, we treat them as irreplaceable and the internal customer as replaceable. And in many cases, I can see where that would appear to be true. Well, I'm sure that that many people might have a differing view. I actually think the internal customer is more important. That if we have positioned our organization strategically, understand our markets, understand our products, understand who we are, what we do, and why we do it, then it's very important for us to find people who buy into that, are part of what we do, who become not only part of what we do, they become messengers for what we do. They're the most important. And if we take care of those people, then I think the external customer gets taken care of by default. And in many examples, you'll see if people are not sufficiently rewarded, and by that I don't mean financially, but if they're not sufficiently rewarded and don't find what they're doing to be rewarding, or they don't find themselves being respected, or they don't find themselves being valued. You notice that the Baldrige course core principles use the term valuing employees. If the employee doesn't find themselves valued, that even in tough times, they may leave. And when that happens, your relationship with your external customer is endangered. The ability to produce the product that you want is endangered. Yet too often as employers and as organizations, we don't think of that. And another way I'd like you to look at it is this. Think back to your economics classes. And when we talk in economics, frequently we talk about one concept that comes up is monopoly, right? And what's monopoly? Monopoly is one seller, right? One source. That's the only place you can buy what we have to offer if we're a monopoly, right? Well, in a way, I think the trouble with internal customers is that the employer, the organization, tends to act like an internal monopolist. and basically says, look, I'm the source of your revenue, I'm the source of your livelihood, Mr. or Miss Employee. Take it or leave it. This is the price, this is the conditions, these are the terms, and if you don't like it, I'll get somebody else. But I think we all know that the cost of losing an employee, the cost of losing experience, the cost of losing loyalty amongst your employees is almost, if not more so, as damaging as losing a customer. So for me, for my position, I've got to tip the scale in favor of the internal customer. Okay, internal customers are important to me. I think the scale tips, like I said, maybe the balance is just slight. Of course we can't do without external customers. But another question I asked a couple of people, do you ever think of firing your customers, your external customers? Just have ones that are just not worth doing business with? Kind of a radical concept, but I know of cases where it's worked, and it's been a very important thing to do. So that's my view on it. I wanted to share that with you because I think it's important as I read through all the essays. The other comment about the essay is a little more operational, and I'd just like everybody to make a note of it. Most of you did a fabulous job on defining the concept. In order to improve, what I think everybody's got to keep in mind is now we're reaching that stage where you're getting familiarity with the concepts and you're getting familiarity with the whole idea of quality and all the things it encompasses. What you really want to do now is let the world know what you think, not what some other author thinks, okay? Make sure that what you are thinking about, you've analyzed, because remember, a lot of this is an opinion. An opinion can't really be wrong. It can be misinformed, it can be uninformed, but it can't be really wrong, okay? Let us all know what you think. That's what's important. The purpose of these essays is to allow you to exhibit some critical thinking, to get some practice in writing, to get some practice in presentation. And I hope you're treating them as such. Okay? Thank you. I wanted to give you those views, and we'll do another little short piece later. Thanks very much.